This week's all-new episode of The Legend of Korra is called Korra Alone, an obvious reference to the Last Airbender episode, Zuko Alone. Actually, Last Airbender would get a number of references in this episode, but let me get into it. While the premiere episode was all about what happened to the supporting cast, this episode has its sights squarely lined on explaining what happened to Korra after the battle with the Red Lotus, how the once proud and unstoppable Avatar became broken and honestly quite scared. A good chunk of the show is just Korra going through the ancient Avatar equivalent of physical therapy just to learn how to walk again with the help of Katara, who is used to great effect in this episode. And while our hero does eventually overcome the physical damage, the mental and spiritual damage just refuses to leave her alone, as it cuts much deeper. Korra is quite literally haunted, you see, by ghostly visions of herself out to punish her. This episode really did a great job deconstructing Korra as a character down to her most basic parts, and let us see her at her very most vulnerable, even childlike you could say. There's a great moment where she's just sitting there eating dinner with her family, and for a second you think, oh yeah, there's actually a real person here behind the whole demigod power and status. It becomes quickly apparent throughout the episode that Korra does not feel like herself anymore, and that to properly find herself she will need to symbolically strip away everything about her old life and become someone new, in hopes of going on a vision quest, a quest for enlightenment, to finally find out who she is, a quest that takes her all over the Avatar world, eventually ending up in the foggy swamp of all places where Aang famously had his vision of meeting Toph back in Last Airbender. And speaking of Toph, guess who should actually show up in the final minutes of Korra Alone? Wow, so Toph pretty much just wore the same outfit for all her life, huh? That's funny. Korra Alone is a very ambitious and creatively confident episode. We've seen how the world has changed in the last 3 years, and now we know the struggles that Korra herself went through, and how she is still fighting to get back to what she sees as normal. It's a very personal and emotionally driven little tale. I know not everyone is as big a fan of Korra as the Avatar as I am, but I get the feeling this episode might actually manage to convert a few people. Overall, I really enjoyed this one. That's why I give it a 9 out of 10. I really hope Season 4 can keep up this kind of momentum, because if it does, we may be in for the best season yet, I think.